Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today we've got another wish listing video, this one brought to you by someone on one of our Facebook groups, and today we are doing 10 things I'd like to see for Blades of Khorne. Khorne is an army I haven't really played a lot against lately. I have actually recently picked up a new Khorne army, which is really cool, so it got me thinking of some things I'd like to see maybe in the future for Khorne. So with this is just wish listing my own personal wants to see for Khorne as a faction. I'd really like to know what you would like to see, especially more experienced Khorne players than me, what you would like to see in the future from this army. So without further ado, let's get cracking into this, and this is 10 things I'd like to see for Blades of Khorne. With number 1, there's a lot of talk about Khorne and his 8 smiths. So if you've read the 8 Lamentations series, or the first book more commonly known as Spear of Shadows, there is mention of these 8 mighty relics that Khorne's finest artificers crafted in the Age of Myth. His 8 artificers crafted these weapons of immense power, and so now these artificers are like the highest ranking of mortals amongst his ranks. These positions though, of these 8 major artificers, are sorely sought after by many in the Khornate warbands, and so there are many smiths below them that want to try and take their place. I want to see these smiths on the table. I would like to see Khornate battlesmiths, whether that is a Chaos Dwarf battlesmith or some more mortal human battlesmiths, but just smiths of Khorne on the tabletop. I think these would be a cool way to provide a new buff piece that's not necessarily prayers, but maybe it is prayers and invoking them, but providing something different to the army. Maybe he's an artificer and if he's near units they get bonuses to armor saves or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what they bring to the table in unit wise, but they're a cool model I think would look really good. Point number 2 is most certainly, can I have a Khorgrath kit please? I really love the Khorgrath model. I think it's a fantastic model and I love the idea of them, these hulking masses of flesh and skulls. But it really does need a separate kit. At the moment it's only currently available in the Star Collecting Box that used to be the half of the original Age of Sigmar starter set. It is in desperate need of its own kit, and I think with a new kit we might actually see this model on the table more, because you could give it a variation of options and the ability to take different things, might see it on the table more. Point number 3 is more of a narrative point, so I want to know what's next for Khorgis Khul. We sort of know at the end of all this Malai important stuff, like he was sort of pushed back and his giant flying blood castle was pushed back into the realm of chaos, so I want to know what this mortal destroyer has been getting up to. It potentially may be time to update him from the ranks of mortals to maybe he is now a fully fledged Daemon Prince, having earned Khorne's favour. Or maybe we're going to get some weird chaos spawn as he's failed Khorne one too many times and is now turned into a chaos spawn of Khorne. It's interesting and it'd be a cool way to take the Khorgis Khul character and be able to move that current model as to the generic hero. Continuing on with this though, and this sort of point, and the last point, is I'd like to see some of those heroes that are only found in that box or in particular boxes like that brought out with separate models. I am of course referring to the Mighty Lord of Khorne, Bloodstoker and Bloodsecrator. These 3 characters are really hard to get a hand on if you're a newer player because they're only available in certain kits, and it'd be nice if they were just normal clan pack miniatures for me. Point number 5 is, so we've seen it in the Iron Golems, and I know they're not particularly Khorne, but they sure are like inspired by Khorne without a doubt. I would like to see the ogre in there taken and given to Khorne, so some chaos Khornate ogres, these hulking masses, you know, give them, cut off their limbs and put blades and hammers for hands, and give them giant Khornate masks and just these brutal bruises for the Khornate army. I know we've already got things like Wrathmongers and I forget the name of the other one, apologies. Skull Reapers, I'm pretty sure the name is actually coming to me now. But I think this would be a cool, like, elite, hulking, massive infantry to have in an army. Point number 5, going on to some rules here. I'd like to see the blood tithe not reset every time it gets used. I'm not sure how this works in the game, but it just doesn't seem right that Khorne's resets when no one else's summoning points reset. I really would like to see this mechanic go, or if it doesn't go for Khorne, I'd like to see other armies actually restricted in the same way. Either way, I would like a level playing field for Khorne in this instance. Whether that is Khorne get unlimited access to blood tithe points, or in fact other armies reign in their summoning. I think the better way to go though is allow Khorne to go over the top, because this blood just keeps flowing and skulls don't keeps piling up. It doesn't make sense to limit it to, oh, we've only got a pile of 8 skull mounds here, guys, we have to stop now. I'd much rather see continuing on and going further. Point number 7 for me is I'd like to see the Wrathmonger buff come back on those skull cannons. It was a glorious 2 weeks where skull cannons were being brought up and everyone was loving that their skull cannons were finally going to be used in the game. And I think it's really disappointing that that whole situation, and we won't go into that, but that whole situation that came about was a bit disappointing for me, and I'm just sad that I don't see more skull cannons on the table. I think they're amazing models. I have a friend that I used to play, unfortunately he's moved away, but he used to take the 3 skull cannons, and yeah, they're okay, they're completely random and they're pretty terrible at times. I think this would have seen them be a little bit more useful, a little bit more threatening towards me. They're just cool models. I like to see it both across the table and for me. Point number 8 for me, and make Blood Warriors hit on 3s and wound on 3s. I've not actually used Blood Warriors myself, but I've played against Blood Warriors a number of times. I think it would be a really great thing for them to be able to hit on 3s and wound on 3s. They just seem, for this elite Khornate warrior and what they look like, that they just do nothing. Honestly. And I've never really been wowed by them in any particular way when fighting against them. I'd like to see, I think 3s and 3s would definitely improve and make that piling in back a lot more vicious and something you actually have to worry about more so than anything else. Like this, I think they're a unit that needs just a slight little buff, and I think 3s and 3s could go a long way to helping them just chip up that little bit just to put them into that next sort of level. Point number 9, this is an interesting one. I'd love to see a new model for Valkia. I love the current model, but I'd like to see a new plastic variation of her. And potentially maybe, I've mentioned I don't really like the boxes, but maybe she could be a character you take out of a box with maybe some Khornate harpies dedicated to her. Valkia is a really cool looking character and a strong female individual character that's just great, and I'd love to see her taken and sort of run to the hills with her, because I think there's a lot of potential to tell a really cool story with that character. It's an interesting sort of story that I reckon has a lot of potential. She can have this army of like these chaotic harpies. They're all blessed with wings, and they're all sort of like mini bloodthirsters in their own way, mini mortal bloodthirster crosses, and maybe she swears allegiance to this particular greater bloodthirster, and now she's blessed with these warriors, that's her handmaidens, that sit by her side and fight in the thickest of battles with her. It's just a thought and an interesting way to maybe bring Valkia into the story properly for Age of Sigmar. I do feel she's a little bit on the outside at the moment. My last point to make today is, with the whole Archaon and having that chat with Slaanesh, got me thinking, well, we know that Khorne's arch rival in the Chaos Pantheon is naturally Slaanesh. He sees him as an abomination and a weakling, and I really think with Slaanesh potentially being released, and what I hope, like, eventually we do get to that time where Slaanesh is released in the mortal realms, I think the relationship between Khorne and Slaanesh is going to be an interesting one to follow. There's a lot you can do with these two characters, very different ideologies and very different temperaments, and just seeing them, they're both fighting for the same thing of utter domination of the realms, but they're also infighting amongst themselves. I think it's an interesting story to look into, and definitely something I look forward to reading more about in the near future. However, that's the end of all this for me. I would really like to know what you would like to see from Blades of Khorne in the future. For me, they're a cool faction. I can't actually wait to get painting. I've got a Bloodthirster just sitting over there, and I look forward to painting him up, along with a bunch of Bloodletters and some Blood Reavers and a few other characters I managed to pick up pretty cheap, which is cool. But I'd like to know what you would like to see from Blades of Khorne. Let me know in the comments below. If there's a faction that I haven't done yet, we're getting sort of our way through them. But yeah, if there's one I haven't done yet and you'd like to see it done, please pop that in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're doing great with subscribers at the moment. We're pushing forward to that 1,000 mark greatly. It's amazing. But that's enough rambling for me. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well. And most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. I'll see you all again real soon.